Oh, yeah. I'm going to call the meeting to order. All rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes that was provided by Todd. Any additional corrections or motion to pass?
I just have that one question.
Yeah, I'll get an answer for that.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to call today. Mike, maybe you would call. This has to do with the two EDUs that were in reservation. I had the minutes because I thought I had heard that one was keeping it, and the other one was returning. Was not correct. Do you recall?
That sounds about right.
Return or the response?
Or, I forget, do you have that in your notes?
I think you did that.
Okay. I'll get an answer for that. If it is different, we can correct it next month.
Because I called Angie
Yeah,
and she confirmed what I said.
okay.
The letter that was in question was never sent until May which would have been after their meeting. So if the other person who had the EDU was contacted and returned it, this letter wasn't sent out till May 16th, which would have been after their meeting in May. Now, this month's meeting, they should have already made a decision.
So they didn't send the letters out to both at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
I can make that correction to reword that,
Yep.
one is going to, and we're still waiting on a response for the second one.
Correct. Other than that, I have no questions on it. I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thanks, Gary. Need a second?
I will second it.
Great, second. All in favor, aye? Public comment. Anybody for public comment? Seeing none, engineers report. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sharon Dillon, 82 Church Street. I am questioning this about the dogs. I see there's one on here, but there's many more dogs that are barking. Now, this could be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and that dog is still barking. Are there dogs in our area that are still barking? So I was wondering that if you could check out some of this dog barking. I can't even sleep because it's right in my window, so one of them.
Is 62 Church Street, is that the, no?
Yeah, see,
Okay.
that was the worst.
Yeah, I can tell you with barking dogs, unless as zoning officer, I'm there to witness it, someone's gonna have to go on to testify, and they're gonna have to document, the date, the time the barking starts, the time it stops, and provide all that. And ideally, if you get a recording of it.
No, not ideally, you kind
Well,
of, you almost
yeah.
have to have it, have a recording.
I think I do, matter of fact.
Okay, it's, I've tried a few of those, they're just difficult to prove. You really have to have your little log of when the barking started, how long it barked. And if, the other thing too is to make sure that they're, depending upon weather and things like that, something's not provoking the dog to bark.
Yeah.
If it's just because the dog's outside and one's inside, the dog is gonna bark. But if you hear something way down the road and the dogs start their bark chain up to the other end of town, they should settle down quickly, but you've got to have the documentation.
Yeah. Now, there is no ordinance in town here. It's just the barking. Times of barking, are they allowed to be out? Is there something like that?
I don't think we have a tethering ordinance, but we do have the barking as far as the
The
noise.
time, the time. I think there's a time in the morning and a time at night.
Oh, let's take a look.
I mean, I'm going way back, but I recall.
Isn't there a time limit, like 10 minutes or something?
Well, that might be for their barking,
Yeah.
but I'm talking when they're
Oh,
allowed to
when
be
they're
out
outside.
barking. That's That's all I can remember over the years.
Again, it takes me this long to come up and answer, that's a sign that doesn't happen very often, which is a good thing. Okay, the dog is not supposed to be outside between 10 PM and 6 AM. That's your 39.3, that's nighttime enclosure. So it's supposed to be an enclosed soundproof building, I think, you know, yeah, right, open air. So if they're in a dog house and it's closed, it would be okay. The barking, it just says any dog or cat that dog barks or cat cries continuously for 30 seconds or more 3 times during a 20-minute period. There is a presumption that it's too much and it's creating an annoyance. So that's your rules. Particularly after a specific, it could be, our best bet after 10 o'clock at night would be that the dog is not in a confined space. It would be easier to prove that it's not inside than it would be that whether it barked 20 seconds during a 3-minute interval.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I may have a door to go in, a doggy door, so that it makes it worse. Todd, we'll be calling you.
Okay.
Fix them out.
Doesn't the tethering part come under like the state code?
Isn't there a law?
There's Libre's law, but that's tethering over 90 degrees, and I think under 36 for more than a 90-minute period. Yeah, it's not just the dog being outside or inside, yeah.
Yeah, again, I would say that the nighttime enclosure law would be a little bit easier to enforce than the barking, but do what you need to do on your Title 39.
Okay, anybody else like to speak?
Me? I practice this, it's not over 3 minutes. Lisa Heath, 113 Main. First of all, I'd like to thank Brandon Brenneman for the comments he put in his personal newsletter about suggesting that folks wrap up their celebrations on July the 4th by 10:30 PM. Being that it is a weeknight, this would likely be appreciated by citizens who have to be up for work Friday morning, as Brandon clearly pointed out. With that being said, I know everyone here is all aware that fireworks are legal in Pennsylvania. I am sure most people here, and the Borough Council in particular, is sick to death of hearing about fireworks. I'm not here to complain about them. I am here to complain about the manner in which they are used, specifically several days in a row when the 4th falls very close to a weekend, as such is pending, and the randomness with which they are set off on any of those given evenings, such as Wednesday night, obviously Thursday night, and so on, typically through to Sunday. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I am sure I speak for approximately 92% of the people up the hill on Main Street, mainly from the 100+ block. I'm not going to identify the perpetrator of this problem, as I fear retaliation upon myself and or my property. All my neighbors and myself are asking is that A, fireworks be restricted to a specific time period in the borough area, say 9 PM to what Brandon suggested, 10:30 PM. But one time within that time period, not starting and stopping relentlessly, which brings me to B, many of us with pets, babies and small children, and even veterans with PTSD do not enjoy enduring the noise of the explosions, then assuming the period of quiet following is the end of it. It is not. Perhaps 5 to 10 minutes can elapse, they go off a couple more, maybe another few minutes, then off a couple more. All I'm asking for is more structure built around the use of the fireworks in coordination with the borough ordinance. It's called a happy medium, a compromise, and I don't think it's too much to ask. When I was at a previous meeting several months ago, one of the council members suggested going to the person who was the source of the problem, notice I did not say confront the person, and having a friendly, open conversation about this in the spirit of good fellowship. This was attempted at some point in the past, and the decorum of this meeting prevents me from using words beyond unreasonable to describe the person. And I thank you for your consideration.
So can I make a couple comments? In answer to your question, this is one of the most frustrating things I've seen recently as a municipal solicitor. They changed the fireworks law a number of years ago to make it much broader in what can be used in Pennsylvania. There were still restrictions on where you could set them off, how much land you had to have, you couldn't be too close to properties, et cetera, et cetera. Turned it out to be very much of a bonanza for the people who make fireworks. And a couple years ago, the law was strengthened a little bit. It's primarily state law because, again, you're in a situation where you have state police in Seven Valleys Borough. They can enforce state law much easier. They're not allowed to enforce local ordinance. So when some of the changes were made, Seven Valleys Borough Council decided not to follow up with any changes to our local laws because the state law is there. The problem is enforcement. It's like catching kids speeding when school lets out. There's so many schools and there's so many police officers. The past, and I don't know whether it'll be the same now, the past practice, not just the state police, but all the other police agencies was they will respond when something catches fire or someone's hurt. That's it. Because they simply claim, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, I'm simply reiterating what they say, that they don't have the personnel to go chasing around everybody who's mad at what their neighbor's doing with fireworks. Again, I sympathize with you. Samantha had a rescue dog at one point that was terrified of fireworks. We had to give her, Dramamine? Tramadol
And we
before
ran
the
her to the
fireworks.
mountains, yeah.
And things like that. You're absolutely right. You know, growing up as a kid, I love fireworks, but you learn as you get older, as you say, veterans, things like that. I understand your frustration, but there's really not a whole lot at this point, local government or I can do about it. It's got to be done through the state.
Well, I just wanted to present it as it's not, I hate fireworks, but to offer a solution.
I agree with you 100%.
Thank you, Mark.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
One of the things, if it gets out of hand, if you could try to video it and have something that shows the time and the date, there's a possibility that, again, as we said to the other nice lady, if you have the evidence, even after the fact that these were going off for hours on end, that they came down on your property, if they're too close to a building, there can be citations issued after the fact if the evidence is there.
Okay.
Mike,
No.
can I say something?
I'm speaking on,
I can't see her.
I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of us, where the people doing it in the borough are already violating state law. We put in a borough ordinance. What's stopping them now? They're already violating state law, unfortunately. So that tells me they're not going to obey by any law anybody writes in the first place, unfortunately. I think I'm in agreement. You know, I love fireworks. I wish I could set them off, but again, I respect my neighbor enough to, like you suggest, if I would do it, it'd be a decent amount of time and cut them off. I'm in the same boat. If you're going to do it and break law and take that risk in the borough, I wish you would just do it for 20 minutes and be done with it.
And bloody get it over with.
Exactly.
That's all I'm asking.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is not knowing when they're gonna happen. You lay down at 9 o'clock, go to bed, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. It's like, it's terrible. It really is.
I can't see you.
And
I just trying to
look
see.
at them.
So I got this from Kristen Hill last year, the year before, about the new law for the fireworks. Okay, I got that. And I'll tell you what I was gonna do, because I know who you're probably talking about, but I'm not gonna mention their names.
Thank you.
And, I talked to her. She sent me this email a year or so ago, okay? Tells you what the rules are, okay? This person's gonna set fireworks off, it says you can do it from July 2nd to the 4th. Now, the 4th is gonna be a Thursday. And it says here, you can shoot them off from 10 PM to, December 31st is, you're allowed to do it from 10 PM to 1 AM. But you can't be shooting them off like after midnight, according to this. And it says 150 feet. I had a neighbor that did that. I called the state cops and I said, they're shooting fireworks off. They're not 150 feet from the building. 2 state cops came and I was so mad. They came 11:30 at night. I called them at 10:30, at 11:30 at night I said, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be going to them, telling them about it. Well, we'd have to have a tape measure. No, you can see common sense, they're not 150 feet from the house. If I'd have been next door at that other house and they'd have been doing that, I tell you, I'd have been over there. Nope, they did nothing, like Mike said. They're not gonna do anything, because 2 of them came to my house, and I told them, I said, you can't hear that? Well, we'd have to get a tape measure. I said, I can see that it's not 150 feet from the house. That is what I got from Preston Hill. Okay. And people are, like Doug said, people aren't gonna follow the rules. They're gonna do what they
No,
know.
I mean, when I go across the street, I it stands on this unfortunate screens for them to knock them off, and they just
I know,
totally,
I
yeah,
know.
but it's
I have a lady out on Maple Street that they had people shoot fireworks off. Even the dogs, they crying and going on, and they said. they kept
just,
doing it.
everybody gets calmed down and everything, and then it's,
Yep, I
and then
understand what you're
everyone.
It'd be
saying.
nice if it was somehow limited to one
Right, right.
night that is, in certain
Yeah.
hours, but
Yeah.
I guess if we
Well,
can't, we can't. do it.
Deb has the actual
Right.
synopsis of the
Right.
statute, and I don't know, it's probably a little late for Todd to put it on the website
Well,
or
I'll tell you what I
anybody.
was gonna do. I didn't know how many people how many houses were in the borough. I was actually gonna go to Staples, and I was gonna run this off out of my own money, and I was gonna go around to every house and say, this is the rules, you need to follow them. But I didn't know how many houses are in the
Well,
borough.
you and I both know people are gonna break the rules, don't care what.
Yeah, but-
I know, I could give this to them, I could send it and knock on the door and hand it to them, that don't mean they're gonna follow the rules.
Like you said, if you document it.
Yeah.
Documentation, if you're worried about retaliation, that's what you're gonna get if you document and take it to court.
What goes up has to come down.
Yeah.
So let's just hope it went out before it came down.
I mean, just like that little boy in West York was probably this 4th of July might be 4 years, 9 years old. From what I understand, that somebody dumped fireworks in a plastic bucket close to their house, and the house went up in flames, and he died in that because of them fireworks. I really felt bad for that family.
I feel like we lose a kid every year in York due to fireworks.
Any other public comment? Engineers report,
No report.
solicitors report.
Nothing new on the mediation. Sam does not have a state police report. Did have the magisterial district judge hearing this morning on the zoning and junk violation matter. Nothing, I've not received anything in the mail yet with any results. And Judge Riley deferred decision. So we'll have more on that next month, or Tyler will give a report next for the next month's meeting. That's all I have unless anybody has any questions for us.
Zoning and code enforcement report.
Placed a copy in front of everyone. If anyone has any specific questions?
Have we, the 34 Main, have we only cut it once or
Yeah.
so far? Okay.
Yeah, I thought of that. I want to also, Greg, what about the 50?
It's not high because of all the weeds that he cut down, pretty much, packed it down, so we'll probably do that every year now for $100.
Because I thought I want to, toward the end of the week, I want to look to see what this is like, because I'm thinking about getting it cut before.
They
Well-
just did.
Oh, they just did it again?
Oh, okay. So then,
Was that Brandon or is he doing it?
no, that, you're saying the owner.
I don't know who it was.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I figured it didn't grow 12 inches yet because we didn't have rain until yesterday, or, I mean, I would think maybe by the end of the week it might be tall again.
Okay, but, no, we'll keep an eye on that. And Greg, since that one's hard to see at 50, if you'll just let me know if it's going to be a while.
for that grows.
All right, fire company report, anything?
Nothing.
Thank you. Unfinished business, keeping of the chickens.
Yeah, I emailed everyone what Jessica presented, in case you didn't have your copy from the last meeting, I did email that to everyone again. I know there were some questions last month about the lot sizes and so forth. So I did go through, all the residential zone parcels as well as the village center zone parcels. Between those two, there's 180 parcels between those two zoning districts. Out of that 180, there's 79 parcels that are a quarter acre or less. There's 46 that are 0.26 to a half acre. And then 21 that are a half to 3/4 acre, and then 7, of course, the higher you get up. So you get to 1.5 to 2 acres, there's like 3. So that's just information, because I know there's a lot of discussion of lot sizes. So that's all I have to share.
The last meeting, how did you feel about this last?
I'm not in favor of it.
That's what
I just think the lots are too small.
And I'm going to be the first to say, I agree with you, okay? And the only reason I do, this is to me as a novelty. People are gonna want chickens, okay?
I
They're
like
gonna want
chickens myself, but
okay?
it's just not
But,
right.
right, and what's gonna happen, they're gonna get these, and they're gonna put them in pens, whatever. They're gonna eventually forget about them, cleaning up the poop and all that, okay? And I'm with you, so nice does not need chickens. My granddaughter bought a little farmette in Jackson Township, okay? This is another reason. She went and she bought 4 little chickens, okay? They put a little walkway out to the thing and put a fence around. She told me on Sunday, 2, like a cough came down and got 2 of her chickens. Everything was gone except the legs and the fence. No, we don't need this in town where we're gonna have to worry about the buzzards.
I mean, what's it gonna look like? You got 50 chicken houses in the
Yeah,
backyard.
and according to what she told me, chickens lay an egg 1 egg a day, sometimes 2. So that means you could be maybe all week, 2 weeks, you get a dozen eggs. I can go to the store and buy eggs for $2.50, $3. I'm not gonna wait 2 weeks to get chickens. No, I mean eggs, no. I don't, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with this. I don't know how everybody else feels, I just don't agree with it. Because then you're gonna have, because I asked Scott, my husband told me he heard rumors, there's coyotes that come out at night behind the fair home, okay? And I don't need them running all over town, okay? You know, and trying to kill the chickens or whatever, I'm sorry, I just, you wanna have chickens, then you need to be out.
Any other comments?
I agree with what they're saying.
Because I think what we decided last month, we were gonna table this for a month and come back, reconvene, see if there's any additional information that comes up. So far, we're saying the same thing we said last month.
We've been having years and years.
It's just like you could have years and years. But see, he said the lot size, 50 feet is not very much.
That's not very much.
It isn't.
And
It's like
then you're gonna have you might have
15 yards,
flies,
you know, it's
you're
not-
gonna have the chicken smell.
Well, it's just
That's
the odor
all.
for your neighbors. I
Yeah.
mean, depending on which way the wind's blowing, it don't matter if you have 3 or 4, it's, or 10. Anybody that's smelled the chicken is worse.
You know,
A lot of us
I'm
have
sorry,
it.
I just, I don't do that.
Do we need to make a motion or anything, or is that?
May I make a public comment?
At the end of,
Okay.
at the end, you can, yes.
Okay.
Solicitor can correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's no interest in moving forward, there's no motion to move forward. It's simply
Well,
done.
that's correct. You just have to decide whether this is the end of it or you want to keep it on. I would say you're deciding not to move forward with anything that just needs to be reflected in minutes.
Anything else on that item? New business, request for 2 additional EDUs.
Provide everyone with a copy of the letter, and I think Brandon brought up at the last meeting where he mentioned about commercial properties when they're exceeding the daily allocation of water consumption for an EDU. And I guess the Valley Tavern has been over and been getting billed for additional sewer usage. So their request before council is that we allocate 2 additional EDUs to them, so that they have the EDUs and don't have to pay the surcharge for additional water usage. We have, if I remember correctly, I think we have 6 currently. Yes, so we do have 6 available.
So commercial property have,
Maybe
you have, they
Well,
have water usage?
My
or-
understanding is, yes, they went off their water usage, through and the authority's only doing that for commercial properties.
Okay.
Because they're doing it for all municipalities involved with the authority, and yes, my understanding is they did get a hefty, so much of a letter and basically said you're over and you owe us this much money. So, my understanding is they have 5 currently that they use, and they're going over top of that, so they're over, 1,200 gallons, I'm guessing a day is the average, for the building. So, for that, I think, that's all I know of, and I will not comment any further.
So we just need action from council if you're in agreement with that, authorizing you to send a letter to the sewer authority. The council approved the allocation of those two.
I make a motion to give Todd a ready letter to the sewer authority requesting the 2 additional EDUs for Valley Tavern.
We have a motion, need a second?
No, second.
Mark? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes carried.
Are you gonna forward that letter to them as well?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next item.
Yeah, as we talked, we've done this a couple times, just, I guess a motion and approval by council acknowledging the fire police request, from Seven Islands Fire Company for July 4th, blast in Jacobus, which is fireworks, and I guess it's an all-day event. So if I remember correctly, we voted on that just to acknowledge that event.
You're approving and authorizing the fair police to do it. Again, this is a requirement for workers' compensation. Just need to make a motion to approve it and then have it in the minutes.
Need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Deb? Need a motion, need a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
This next item, they did not give us much time to work with, let me tell you. And I can't imagine that they're gonna get responses from all the municipalities. Oh, I skipped over one? I'm too anxious to get to
You said New Salem Borough.
history made here. New Salem Borough, I just put this on, because my understanding is, I guess there's some discussion. I don't know how far it is or not, but ask Mike if he could update us on that.
Okay, as probably everybody's aware, the New Salem Fire Company has been having a lot of problems getting out lately. And council has made a decision that they want to actually enter into a formal contract with Seven Valley's Fire Company. But, well, potentially, and I think the final decision will be made tomorrow night. And all it's going to be is to give Seven Valley's Fire Company the legal authority to be the first 2 fire company in New Salem. It's not going to have any effect on Seven Valley's Borough. It's basically a formality to recognize them up there for governmental immunity purposes, and also it has to do with Relief Association money allocation. So I think from what Todd told me this morning, Cheryl just asked that this be put on there for information only. It wouldn't be any different if it does end up in fruition. It's no different than them contracting with North Cadorus Township, Springfield Township, anywhere else. Yeah.
And for workers' comp, I would say we handle it the same as we did with the ambulance and what we do now with the fire company with the township.
Well, it's a little quirky the way the law reads, because technically New Salem's, the fire company is still in existence. If it ends up dissolving, you're right, you handle it the same way you do with Springfield or Cadorus that do not have their own fire companies, or in Shrewsbury Township, which you're familiar with. But again, technically the fire company is still in existence at this point. We're just adding another layer of protection for the borough.
The current hope is that New Salem Fire Company will be able to rebuild, come back and take over those duties. And Seven Valleys has been kind enough that they've offered to help them as well in that regard. So we're hoping it doesn't go to that extent, but
If it does
And when I
that
say
in a
we,
situation.
for both, that's fine.
So in that timeframe, New Salem will not forward the borough workers' comp partial monies?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because again, the way the law reads is you can request, and now, back to Seven Valleys. Seven Valleys Borough can request compensation from municipalities that do not have their own fire company, which in our situation has been, because we went through this a couple of years ago, Cadorus Township, Springfield Township. We can't ask for North Cadorus, even though there were a lot of calls there, because North Cadorus has their own fire company. Same thing would be true in Seven Valleys until something permanent, which we hope doesn't happen would.
Okay.
Doesn't first due come into play?
See, and that's what I was
I think
concerned.
only for the ones, there's a measurement, there's a formula to measure, but I think it's limited. And I only had one experience with this. It could have changed, we can look at it, but it has to do with the formula for those municipalities that do not have their own fire companies in them.
Because does North Cadorus, do you guys know, are they still first due in the entire township?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions?
You guys are comfortable with that?
Yeah, we'll give them a hand. We're not taking, we're still gonna get dispatch with us, so hopefully they get out and start building. We don't want to take anything away. We
There'll
hope
be
they,
primary, and there'll be like a secondary.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I just got an email this morning that there apparently has been at least an attempt at rejuvenation by some of the former members who are now supposedly back in.
yes.
But unfortunately, we've seen this before. And I'm, again, cautiously optimistic, but we're just doing this as a protection from the residents of the borough.
To bring us into like a short scenario is, the ones that were in there before were like pushed out of the fire department, okay? They have now removed the ones that were there that pushed them out. Now these people are coming back to try to protect their community. With the ones that were forced out in the beginning, you know, they are now trying to come back and build their manpower to get it back up and running, and I hope they do.
Well,
You know, I hate to see an organization, you know, fold because of things.
So
They're
it's
still
just
doing all their functions.
information only for us.
Yeah, they're doing all their functions, they're all they're doing, and now they're just starting to get qualified members, firefighters, that were pushed away from the previous membership that was there. Now they're asking them to come back to start running as a fire department, getting things going. So I'm hoping things work out for them.
I think before that, there were what, three people that could even show up to a call,
Right.
or 3 firefighters. And that's just not safe.
and again, I think everybody's aware of this. The thing that brought this to a head was the fire on South Main Street a couple of months ago, the house fire. The New Salem Fire Company didn't even get out. You know, I mean, now, there were quote a couple of people there, but part of the problem is everybody runs with all the different fire companies, and everybody, that even the people who were quote unquote members of New Salem Fire Company responded either with Seven Valleys or North Cadorus or somebody else. So that's what really has kind of brought this to a head, to try to get some attention to the issue.
Okay. Next slide.
Well, it looks like a long laundry list. I think we're gonna pass through most of this pretty quickly. They did not give us a lot of time to respond. York County has put together, a group called History Made Here, and the reason being is, you know, America's 250th anniversary kind of ties in here closely with York County's 275th anniversary. So they have a list here of things that they would like each municipality in York County to do to help join in the celebration, which is going to last over a 4-year period. So the first one is pass a resolution supporting America 250 PA and York County's events over the next 4 years. There was, I think I did email to you a copy of the resolution. I used their sample, simply changed the name to Seven Eyes and so forth. So the council's so inclined, we can act on that and send that off to them. Second item is, they're attached, you see, they have, they call them boulevard banners, field display for the next 4 years, or, yeah. And, they asked each municipality to determine how many banners they would like to display. They'll be offering a few of them to each municipality at no charge. Let us know by July 8th. I mean, this came since last meeting.
I think it's a few times.
Yeah, I mean, but my question there on that is, are they also paying for us to bring somebody in to install them and the brackets that we would need for that? That would be my question. I wouldn't mind having them, but I mean, you know, and I wouldn't even mind if the borough had to pay somebody to come put them up, but the bracketry is going to be the costly thing in that. We don't have any doubles, I know that. And just the area maybe down Church Street or Main Street where to put them, you know, I don't know. That would be my question. I mean, I don't.
Like I said, there's no way they're gonna get responses.
Well, okay.
Probably half of this town.
Can we get questions?
Yeah.
In the meantime?
Yeah, I'll,
We can get back to.
we don't have to act on any of this tonight. I'll get some answers for next month. I mean, it's a 4-year event, they can wait 30 days.
I mean, I would, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
because
that's what Doug said, we should get some answers
It
on
does
the
say
calls.
the parade, if you don't confirm participation by July 20th, that you won't be in
Well,
it, but just a heads up there.
Before we get to the parade, I think I know this answer. They would like to know one special thing that makes your municipality unique and provide a history about it. So I'm
Right.
thinking that's probably ice cream.
Ice cream.
So that's something
Yeah.
we can certainly move forward with. They would like that information by July 20th.
Raise
So
awareness
we
of
need
it.
someone that would be willing to provide that information.
I think I have the old, I have all of these stuff from the ice cream from the marker, at least I have the book. So, I mean, I can always,
You can photocopy.
yeah, that's where scan it. I'll work on that this week and forward you that.
Okay.
Take a picture of the mayor eating ice cream under the bridge.
The next time, a truck hits it.
Yes, take a picture on top of there, yeah. No, you should start it at the, on the trail and then walk your way down. Oh, look, another bridge hit.
The fourth item then is, their parade weekend, which I think is around the middle of August.
August 17th and 19th.
Of this year.
Yeah.
This year, yeah. It says, one entry would your municipality put in the parade? We're seeking fire trucks, float with elected officials, antique tractor, or float with some representation in this. I don't know how you pull a float together in a
Well,
month, but
Doug on fire.
I don't know if the fire company is planning to get involved in the.
We have 2 antique.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what might be the best thing. I mean, and then if anybody from the borough would like to walk along with them, or, I wouldn't, where is it? I mean,
Probably New York City,
That's what
probably
I
New York
imagine
City.
too. It's probably gonna be like the Halloween parade, maybe not that long,
If
but.
you're gonna have all the municipalities
Yeah.
in it, you're gonna have to have a long
It's gonna be
parade
in New
route.
York, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I
I'll
would
fill
think
it.
it's gonna be the Halloween parade route, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
72 floats.
this one we can probably get a couple more days on. They want to donate trees to each municipality in recognition of these 3 celebrations. They ask that we identify a public place for the planting by August 1st. The donated tree will be planted in the fall of 24 or spring of 25. But it says, we will need your municipal crew to prepare for the planting and care for donated trees. So basically, they'll bring the tree and deliver it, so. And then the last thing we can easily do, they ask if we can help promote the events through the website, Facebook, newsletter.
There's enough room right there to put it.
What is that date?
It says the weekend is August 17th, 19th.
When I respond to them, can I give them your information for you two guys?
That's fine.
They need to know by July 20th if you want to do it.
We're having our meeting next Monday. So, the dates or whatever, we can talk to people or see if anybody would be interested in it.
That's 7.
Oh, we're putting them on a trailer.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
7.
So, yeah, you wanna come down?
You offered, Rick?
I don't know, 'cause I
I bet you it'll be the
I'm
night.
not even there.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to move forward with the resolution?
We said, to talk about a tree, I mean, it could be possible to put it up there along the rail trail where like the little library is, there's a lot of room up there, depending on what kind of tree it is, one foot, you know.
Yeah, I can ask them what kind of trees they're on.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Size, and that, are they little twigs, or they?
Red maple or something. that
Is there a
might
black
Stand out up there.
Grounds.
Yeah.
15 years.
Are you back up to item number 1? Are we interested in moving forward with the resolution?
Sure.
I need a motion,
I'll make a motion to move forward with the resolution.
and for the second,
I'll second it.
raise your hand. All in favor, aye? Opposed? Any other action we need to take with that item today? Good.
So I got something, I don't know if we want to do it under new business or we do it with South Street, if we want to do anything with that this year to make plans for next year. If anybody else looked at that, the condition of it since last meeting?
Yeah, I rode up there, it's starting to come apart.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The last time we patched, we just did a patch on it, so.
It's not overly bad now, but you can tell it's definitely going.
Like a little open area on it, just a patch now. It's been a long time.
That's been a long
Yeah, it's been a long time.
At least 10 years, probably.
So, what's the first step, or street committee?
Street
Street committee,
yeah, we can do
yep.
that.
Yeah, I'll contact whoever's on the street committee, try to get something set up this month.
I looked at it last week and it looks like the base is, balanced and green, but there's only like an inch of, wearing course.
That was the overlay.
So the street committee is Mark, Ray, and Zach.
Yeah, we can do that.
Mark, Greg, and Zach.
Anything else on the new business? Treasurer's report.
Anyone got any questions? Mentioned here. For the parking lot blocks out front here, the borough paid that. You'll see that it's check number 4408, Walter Ziegler, no relation, which is $1,445. I'll be invoicing WellSpan for the blocks. They're gonna pay and then we paid for, which would be the ambulance club paying for the cabs. So just want to let you know we'll get reimbursed for.
It seemed like you have to have a price for it. I don't think so. That include the townships?
No, but they were pretty quick at that.
Okay.
They moved them and placed them pretty quickly, so they didn't give them any hours or anything, so.
I just do got one thing on the blocks. Since the blocks got put in, we're not be able to get an engine in here. If we get a fire or anything, that's just too tight. Pulling our engine in here, we'll be on the road. Doing all that stuff. So you block our access to even pull in the parking lot.
But let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to sound like.
I know you're good.
Smart about, but if the building's on fire, you're probably not gonna be
Well,
that close.
We'll be pulling in that other part because you got FTC right there on this corner here. We hit to apply more water to the sprinkler system. Now we're gonna stretch more hose just to get to it.
Can't you that open space between the bridge and the blocks there? That's pretty open. It's
But
flat
what if it
road.
rains or anything, we're gonna sink down to the axles and start pulling in there.
Couldn't you just park along the street?
But the big thing is you're laying more hose,
Yeah.
more
hose
more
coming.
friction loss and everything on different things.
And
I'm
it's,
just
and we're pulling.
Yeah, the
just
reason,
saying it.
the
What
reason
about
the block was put
the
in
sprinkler
is
system?
because
Let's try trailers, I understand
tractor
that.
trailers and, with the ambulances and whatever, yeah, that's why they were put in.
But yeah, so I just wanted to just
Okay.
let you guys know, we had that automatic fire on, we looked at it, and we're like, no way we're going to get engines or anything in there, it's to our return.
What distance of an opening would you feel comfortable with to get an engine in? Do you know?
I'm gonna say a good 15 feet.
15, or maybe a way to just put.
Additional,
I don't know what you have out there
I
now.
don't know,
I think they're 20.
and right now, it says it's gonna be 2 hour returns, we looked at
Because
it.
we have to go out wide
Right.
to come
You
in.
need your radius to get in.
And then if we have to bring a truck in,
And yeah, that's more,
you know, to bring a truck in on an angle yet too. And then you got the other engines, you know, that are coming in.
I mean, we'll be able to work with it, but I'm just telling you, we're not gonna be able to get equipment in the parking lot when we need.
There's gonna be space and time involved.
Yes.
Yep.
But I'm sure there's so many other properties that have a setup where it's not access that easily to the property.
It's pretty much all the properties we can access, no problem. Because they don't have nothing there blocking us, we can swing a little bit and then go in the grass a little bit to go and get in.
Get some of those balsa wood things that look like concrete, so that they do a good job.
Okay, if there's no other questions with the treasurer's report, we're gonna need a motion to approve the file statement for audit and authorize the treasurer to pay the regular bills.
I'll make that motion.
Gary? Second? Deb? All in favor, aye? Opposed, no? Motion carried. Reports and correspondence.
I have just, 3 quick things, WellSpan, I don't know if everybody else got it, but I saw the membership drive is on. Did you get something in the mail? Okay. So if you didn't, and you want a EMS membership with WellSpan, you did get something in the mail recently, you might want to reach out. I did, hear from WellSpan, they had 13 emergency calls in the borough in the month of May. And then the other thing is I did provide you with a copy of the right to know request for the month of June. That's all I have.
Any questions about the secretary's report? Mayor's report.
I have one thing, I guess it was last week now. The Trail Towns Committee met with the waterworks engineer planners that part of the grant that was awarded to the borough through the Trail Towns program on public access to the creek. So me, Mike Runkle, and the other members, and member David Gonzalez from the Economics Alliance met here. They gave a brief overview of, the possibility of public access and the possibility of, in the long term of things, maybe making the creek a starting position of the whole, where it runs parallel and kind of works as a waterway trail for maybe public use, whether that's kayaking, rafting, or floating, I guess. So they did a kind of an aerial study with Google Maps and mapped out a couple of spots that they see would maybe be a good fit. As we know, most of the creek is all bordered by private property, but we had a very good conversation on what the vision could be in the long term of things. I have maps and kind of some things here on what they looked at and provided as their best options. I think the next step in this whole process is more of a boots on the ground kind of deal, and preliminary talk with some property owners that might have interest in, letting it part of their land property be used. Again, this is a process that's not going to happen quick. But we are moving, we're probably moving in the direction of using those grant funds and seeing if this is a starting point of what could be, a waterway trail more or less that would kind of coincide with the rail trail and the possibilities. So that's where we are at with that at this point. Other than that, I've got nothing.
Thanks, Doug. Lien collection,
No change.
Springfield Township, Sewer Authority report. Everybody has a copy. Any questions, comments?
Did we hear any more? I know that there's about that we may have found the source of the infiltration. Is there any, have we heard anything directly from them?
All day, in the last minutes, it was stated that they think it's the one manhole in the parking lot at the tavern. I'm not sure. There's two different manholes over there, one in the front, one in the back. But I don't know. They've got to try to, I guess my understanding is dry up the water there before they can scope it. But they think that could be a possibility. I know if you look at the front lot of that, if you ever have a chance, that you can tell where the sewer runs because it's sinking. And their parking lot is sinking, and I know they brought that up to their attention a couple times, but, so I'm not sure if that's the one they're talking about or what. So there could be an issue there if that's not where they're at.
Whatever happened to the water that constantly came out of the house right next door there?
That got
That going into the
storm sewer, because when we did the street,
Right.
we made everybody connect anything that was.
Because that was constant flow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's into the storm sewer box now under the sidewalk or through the curb, I guess. But, yeah, so I mean, hopefully they can get some more direction on that.
That seems like a lot of water being flowing into the main.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a constant running.
And we've seen it going in there,
What's that?
the manhole. Is it
Oh!
coming- It's not coming from the manhole, it's coming through the manhole.
I don't know. I mean, it's coming somewhere. I mean, I know.
They've seen it flowing through when it gets to the manhole.
Yeah, they say there's been constant water flow,
So
so I
it's
don't,
coming from somewhere.
somewhere.
Upwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing, is my understanding of how I read it and interpret it.
Okay, anything else? Doug, let's start with you. Any comments, closing comments?
Nothing, sir.
Gary?
No.
Mark? No? Deb? Greg? Sam? Mike?
I did want to mention one thing I forgot to say on the solicitor's report. I did have a brief conversation after the last meeting with Ron Hirschner, who is the ambulance club's attorney. And he did reiterate he had one conversation with Attorney Vance Rittman in the Attorney General's office, but there still is no definitive movement on their approval of the transfer. Still waiting patiently.
Todd, anything? The only thing I have is, the rec board met last Tuesday, the 25th. A couple things, in the future coming up, Friday, July 26th, there's a food truck event over at the Springfield Parks and Rec Windy Hill Building, 1472 Ross Church. That's a Friday evening. Plans are coming together for the movie night down here. Kate's been talking with folks at the Fire Hall for September the 6th. Mike, I want to run this by you. The Fire Hall is requesting Springfield Parks and Rec for a certificate of insurance for the outdoor use that night. Is that, I was talking to Kate, is that something that we can cover as a borough for them, or?
I don't think we can cover it. I think the rec just ought to have them on as an additional insured where you're holding the event for that one occasion.
Through the rec commission?
Yes.
All right, I asked. Kate also requested, do we have a list of businesses in the borough that's handy that she can use for promotion?
I don't know of anything that's prepared. It won't take long to put it together, though.
Do you have it on the website, the list of local businesses on the borough website?
Yeah, there's some there, but there's a couple on there that I know that are not.
And then they're putting something together, and it's in the works for December 7th down here on the rail trail to have a 5K hot chocolate run.
Nice.
Coming up.
What's the name of it?
The 7th, December 7th.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Pumpkin walk scheduled for October 11th. They're talking to the school district about a backup plan to use one of the schools in case it rains, so they can still have it on the same day without a rain date.
So that was doing the rail trail again this year?
Yeah,
Okay, so they're looking to bring that back.
yeah, and they want to try to run the 5K within the borough. So they just got to figure out some logistics there. I think that could happen, 3 miles.
3 miles, I know.
For the loop from border to border.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you go down, you start here, go down to Hanover. I mean, if they want to stay on the rail trail, if you go to Hanover Junction, take the left up Maple Street. go
Yeah, I think they
down.
want to stay on the railroad.
Yeah, wow.
I think the whole way down to the bridge at Hunts and then back. Yeah.
Hunts from Cherry Street to the Hunts right after their hay storage is 1 mile.
So there's 2 miles, so we need
Yeah, another half. and
Yeah, another 5/8 of a mile
Yeah,
that way.
Up to, yeah, I mean, you could do it.
Yep. And that's all I have.
Yeah, it's only halfway there.
All right, closing, public comment to close.
Jessica Ballas, 22 Cherry Street. So last month, obviously, I presented a chicken ordinance and everybody had their, well, a couple people had their own objections. But I would ask that those who had objections refrain from emotional reasoning and instead present facts. If there are statistics that say, 95% of all chicken owners want to get rid of them within the first 6 months, then that's a good reason. But if you think it's a novelty, that is your opinion, and it is not a fact. And when it is not a fact, I can't abide by that. So I would ask that if you have an objection, you present your reasoning beyond a personal story. Because we get a lot of personal stories that aren't backed by anything other than, my neighbor did this and I didn't like it, so we're not gonna do it again. Because that's not how the world works. We need to be able to present statistics. Even our, government at large, when they would present a law, they get the experts in and talk about it. So they don't necessarily, some of them do go off of emotion, but I would ask you to present facts when you have an objection. When I was preparing to present the chicken ordinance, I presented facts on reasons why they're a good idea, such as they decrease the bugs, it's good manure for your gardens, the eggs, Deb, I'm sorry, but some people can't spend $3.50 a week, every 2 weeks.
I'm saying that I know through my granddaughter that chickens will either lay 1 egg a day or 2 at the most. So you figure that out, you could be waiting a whole week to get a dozen.
But isn't that my problem though?
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go for this. I'm sorry, because I talked to people that had chickens. I had a lady that told me she took her dog out one night, a raccoon was trying to get into her chicken pen to get the chickens. My granddaughter just told me about the hawks or whatever you wanna call it, got 2 of her chickens. No, I do not think I'm sorry. Seven Valley does not need to have chickens in the borough, because what's gonna happen, the people are gonna get them, and then they're gonna have the chicken smell. I'm sorry.
My other objection is, do you think, how many, you said there was 100 some lots, Todd?
180.
I feel like you think that 180 parcels of land are going to get chickens tomorrow without having done research about it. They could very well.
Absolutely.
But we also have to look, when people bring up the fireworks every month, it seems like, it always goes back to Solicitor Crayley, who says there's a law. And it doesn't matter how you feel about your neighbor next door lighting off fireworks, but there is a law. There are laws for the state of Pennsylvania that allow it. Now, again, I'm asking you to present facts for your reasoning why you would object to it, other than we've got coyotes. I've never seen them. It doesn't mean that they're not here. I would love to see like an animal report that says that they're here.
You won't see it,
Yeah.
they're elusive.
They're elusive, exactly.
I can tell you that we've got raccoons in my backyard because my compost bin trails. Doesn't bother me.
I'm sorry.
But again, last month I brought up as well, are you going to punish all dog owners because one person can't clean up after their dog. You could have somebody who has 100 dogs and they are pristine, and then you have that one person who has one dog and they ruin the experience for everybody. That's when you call animal control. Sharon was talking about the dogs barking. That's when you get somebody involved when it becomes out of hand. So do you punish people who are going to be law abiding because there might be a few who don't? And Deb, I know that you worked at a school, so I asked you, would you punish the entire classroom and say, no, we can't do this because you had one
I
disruptive
had that
student?
happen, I had that happen, yes.
Because you had one disruptive student.
We had one student, and I'll give you an example.
I don't want, no, see, I don't want stories. I would like,
I'm telling you, this teacher failed the whole class. One kid was cheating and nobody would
see,
speak
that's
up.
unreasonable.
And that teacher flunked the whole
I
class.
have to judge you though.
I know, exactly. No, I'm sorry, the chickens, I'm sorry, I don't care how everybody else feels.
Off
I
the
don't
chicken
agree.
subject, on the minutes, new business, there was the banners for electric poles. As many of you know, I'm a graphic designer, I have a master's degree, I own 2 businesses. And for a long time, as I drove into the borough, I would say, God, they're faded. God, I want to redo them. So I would like to volunteer my services, should it get approved, to recreate the banners on the flagpole. Because if I see anything else, I'll cringe. Zach's not here today, but when I moved here, I saw the original Spring Grove logo and I said, I'm not putting my kid in spirit wear. So what did I do? I contacted Spring Grove and I helped design this logo that a lot of people wear. So anyways, I would love to be a member to participate in the banner polls. And the last thing I want to bring up is just to keep the personal anecdotes and stories down. Again, just present some facts to me. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
We respect your feelings to do something like that. I do that. In 1 month, when I sort of tabled it for the month, I kind of said, let's table that idea for the month. I respect that. I love the outdoors, I love animals. But in 1 month, I had nobody contact me with an interest, but I've had several people contact me that, and they weren't like outrageous, I just, mad because this was trying to go on. They were just saying they would not want chickens. But I had nobody come up to me in that time to support it. That's my fact.
Okay.
And
What if
also-
I presented names of people who were in favor of it?
Yeah.
Would you consider that? I presented names. of
Well,
people who
we
were in
already
favor?
went through this.
Well, yes, but what if I bring this up again next month? I can.
I see you reached out to the people on Facebook on the Seven Valleys page to show up and show your support, and nobody else showed up.
Well, a lot of
There
people
has
have
been
children.
Yeah.
One person
If it's-
messaged me and she
if
said
it's
she was
important
sick.
to them, you brought your child with you.
Well, no, he wanted to get out of taking a bath. So
Because
that's why I was here.
you know what's gonna happen? You want chickens, then we're gonna have somebody come along and say, gee, I want a pot-bellied pig. Or I'm gonna have somebody over here,
Well,
which
people
I
do
do,
have them as
I have
comfort
over an
animals.
acre and a half of land. My husband's probably say, well, gee, they brought chickens to town, so I'm gonna go get 3 billy goats.
You know
No,
what?
we
There's
need
a
to
lot
put
of what ifs. What if somebody leaves a kiddie pool filled all summer and it breeds mosquitoes? What if I get hit by a car, the statistics that I could get hit by a car, do I never walk again along the street? Oh, thank you, George. Do I never get in my car because I could get hit by a car? We cannot live by what ifs. It's just, show me some facts, Deb. Thank you.
Any closing comments by council? Meeting adjourned.
Oh, you want my phone?